Hello, hello, hello. Happy Friday. Hope everybody's had a great week. I'm Shannon Smith. I am the Inspiration Team Director for Brutus Monroe, and we come together on Fridays to do some crafting and have some crafty shenanigans. Hello, Michelle. Hello, Kelly. How are you? Hope you're doing well. I'm excited to play tonight. Um, I don't know about you guys, but it was a long week for me. I'm glad it's kind of coming to an end, but I'm glad to end it this way. I love to hang out with you guys, and I'm excited to play. So I thought tonight we would play some more with the Oz collection because there's so much to it, and there's so many fun things you can do with it. I'm glad to hear you're doing well, Michelle. Hope you have some fun plans for the weekend. Hello, Valerie. Thanks for joining us. Um, Hi, Anne-Marie. How are you doing? So we're going to use the Easel die set. I don't have the actual packaging because I got it when it was still like a prototype. So forgive my not so pretty packaging, but this is what we're using. And it also has all of these other fun things. It has like the ovals, and there's a coordinating stamp set. Darren will put the links up for that whole collection. And then but we're not going to use the ovals. We're going to use some circles because I wanted you to see you can do other things with it. And we are going to use that with some of our Oz collection. So the first thing I did, I already cut it out, but I cut out this large piece. And you can see it's got a score line here and a score line here. Oh, I'm so sorry, Kelly. I'm sorry to hear that. And then let's put this out of the way so that we have a little more room to work. So this is the base for the rest of this card. And this is really fun, especially if you haven't made an easel card. This, I don't know what I have stuck to it. This die makes it really, really simple. It takes all the guesswork out. Okay. All right. So then the next did ahead of time is I just cut out, I cut a 4-inch by 5 1/4 inch panel, and I just glued. Okay. I also cut out with this outline piece. I cut out a piece from our Over the Rainbow paper collection, excuse me. And I just picked the gingham, like Dorothy's little jumper. I thought that was a really cute one. I cut that out. And then I just glued it to the blue, one of my circle foundation dies, to cut through the center. Okay, so I thought it was easier to just glue it together and then cut them both out. So we've got those. And in the circle foundation dies, which Darren will put up, you've got all of these different sizes. So I've got, let's see if I can measure it so I can get some idea, because we're going to use 2 sizes. We use bigger size to cut those out, and then we use the smaller size to cut out a white circle that we're going to use. So this one, the larger one, where is my ruler? It is missing. Oh dear. I do not know where it is. It's usually sticking right out of my... Well, I have a ruler somewhere around here. Hang on one sec. I've got one hanging on my wall. Okay. So this one is, let's go to the cut line side so that we can see where it cuts. So this one's about 3 inches in diameter. And then the smaller one cuts about 2 3/4. So that is that. All right, I'm going to move that out of the way. And we'll move that out so that we have more space on our table. Okay, so then There's this other piece that cuts out this cute vine. I love this piece. I think it's really cool. Hi, Tina. So this one cuts this out. So you can see, and if you look really close, the leaves even have a little divot in them to show you like the little vein lines. So that will end up going right there. So now that you've seen all of that, I'm going to move all of those dies out of the way so that I have more space. And that is the easel. Is it called easel card, Darren?
Elegant Easel.
Elegant Easel. That is the name of that set. So if you want to find that, Darren will put up the link. Thank you, Darren. Okay, so you know what? I'm just going to go ahead and glue this on now, just because it's easier to get it out of my way. And it's so delicate that I just want it to be on the card safe so I don't have to worry about it anymore. And I'm just gluing on the leaves, just a little dot. I'm using Barely Art glue because I love the little fine tip that it has. Makes gluing little things like this that are skinny a little easier. All right, so then these leaves match up on the frame, so you want to make sure you put it on the right way. And I can see they all line up, so I'm going the right way. Yay! So we're just going to push that down a little bit. This paper's a little bit slick, so you kind of have to let it dry up a little bit before you move on. So we'll push that down a little bit. Make sure it's going to stay. All right. So that is done. And we actually could probably put this on to our card base. So now this little skinny flap that has the little tapered ends, that's where this is going to go.
Anne-Marie said to have a niece's open house tomorrow, and I just didn't realize she hasn't made a card yet.
Oh, well, maybe this will give you some ideas, Anne-Marie. I'm sure she'll love having a card. All right, so now, oh my goodness, I tell you, the last few times I've done lives, my dogs just decide that that's the time that they should be stinkers. They get very lively. Okay, so you don't want to glue this whole thing on because you want, when you open your card, for it to stand up like this. So we're just going to glue it right on this flap. So let's go ahead and get some glue on the ends here. Hey, that's enough, Sassy. All right, I kind of did that crazy because we want it to lay flat too. So I got it kind of where I didn't need it, but that's okay. We'll just wipe it off. Thankfully, it dries clear. Bear with me. Sorry. Okay, let's make sure we've got it in the right spot and that it's going to stay before we move on.
Mackie says hi.
Hi, Mackie. How are you? Happy Friday. Okay, so this part is ready to go. We can go ahead and set that to the side for a second. Okay, the next thing that we want to do, because we need a little drying time. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to color these cute little pieces from the Odds and Ends die set. We're going to use the shoes. We're going to use the cute little wand and Glenda's crown. And I wanted to show you this really beautiful aqua pigment that was released with this. It's called Glenda. So you can imagine it's this pretty pink. I'm just going to put a tiny little bit in our little cup. And we're just going to, hello, Penny, how are you? Oh, Anne-Marie, you are so kind. Thank you so much. That means a lot to me. I already had a little bit in the bottom. When you wet it, if you add a little bit of water or if you just add some more, it reconstitutes. Okay, so I'm just going to, I think I'm going to put a little piece of scratch paper underneath this just because it'll make things easier. So I'm just going to go over the star on my wand. And I'm going to go over this crown. And I am going to do, oh, I said I need drying time, but really I don't because of what I'm going to do next. So while that's wet, I'm going to go ahead and this is Tin Man embossing powder. There is a collection of 4 embossing powders that released with the Oz set. And this is one of them. And it's a pretty silver, as you can see. And I'm just going to kind of rub it around in there, but then mostly going to wipe it off. Because if you'll recall, her crown is kind of shimmery and see-through, but it's definitely got like a pink tone to it. So I wanted to kind of maintain the pink tone, but maybe give it just a little something. So we'll just see what this does. I feel like I kind of wiped too much of it off, but we'll check. We can always do it again, right? And we'll do the same thing with the wand.
Can you ask anyone started the countdown to video ending yet?
I started the countdown, Penny. Anybody else? Oh, Laurie, it is magical. This whole Oz collection is just so much fun. Darren's warning me not to burn myself, but you know, all in the name of crafting. If I burn myself, oh, actually somewhere in here I have a paper clothespin that makes it a little easier. We can hold on to the end of the wand and that'll be easier. Or if I can get a hold of it, oh my goodness. Okay. I just glue all the other pieces that are sitting here already dyed across my table. So we may be searching for a few things. So this aqua pigment already has some shimmer to it. So it's already got that pretty shimmer going on. But this is just adding a little bit of extra. And I think we did pretty good. Can you see that? And how it's kind of picking up the glitter. It's not tons. It's just a little bit. Just to add a little. I think it needs a little bit more though. So I'm just going to do the same thing again. I'm just going to grab my paintbrush. And actually, we could use a little bit of water in there.
Anne-Marie said, you, Shannon, and Christopher are amazing. Do any other talented design team members go live?
Oh, you're so sweet. Gina goes live typically on Mondays. And we're trying to get some more to go live. Also, Heather goes live every now and then. But we have some kind of shy members. So we're trying to get them to break out of their shell a little bit. But a lot of them will upload videos, but they're still a little shy about going live. But we're working on it. We are working on it. All right, so we're just doing the very same thing. Sorry, I guess it would help if you could see what I'm doing, huh? And it dries pretty fast because my fan is on in my room.
Mackie said she's shy.
Mackie is one. Everybody tell her that we need to see her on here because she has the cutest personality. You definitely want to see her live. I want to see her live. So maybe, Mackie, if you're scared, you could go on live with me sometime if you ever want to. And that could, you could get your feet wet. Or just jump right into it. But I would be happy to go live with you. We would love it. Okay. Okay, hang on one sec. I will address that, Michelle, in just one sec. I want to make sure you can hear me, so I'm just waiting until I finish with the heat tool. Okay. Oh, thank you, Anne-Marie. All right, Michelle, have you ever used these? Did you use these little brushes, or did you just use a paintbrush? Because with the paintbrush, it is a little trickier. You definitely want to use a little bit of pixie spray because it'll hold your stencil down tighter to your paper. But also, I use brushes with mine because it's not so intense, liquid intense. If I do it that way, okay, you used these. I would say use a little bit and then it off, and then use it this way with a brush like this. A good blending brush would do it. Okay, because yeah, if you have it very wet at all, I can totally see where that would be an issue. All right, so I think those are sparkly enough now. We can set those aside. And now let's get some ruby slippers going. So I showed you Tin Man. This is one of the embossing powders. There's also, this one is called Emerald City, and it's a green that has, let's see, it's got some kind of gold in it too. So you can kind of see on the bottle all of the gold pieces in there too. And then this is Wicked, and this one's definitely, it's got green and black, and it's mysterious color. It's really pretty. And then this one is the one we're going to now, and this is Ruby Slippers, because you just have to have shiny slippers if we're going to do this, right? So I went ahead and I already cut out the slippers. I'm going to use our embossing ink. I love Brutus Monroe embossing ink. It works very, very well. So I'm just dabbing that on there, just straight from the pad. And I think we've got enough on there that we can just go ahead and go from there. And we've got some in there already, but I think I'm just going to dump a little bit more on there. All right. Oh, yeah, a little bit. Thankfully, we can dump it all back in our jar and use it again. Okay. So I'm just going to set this aside.
Donna says hi.
Hi, Donna. How are you doing? I'm glad you're here. All right. Isn't that a pretty red? I agree. That is a pretty red. All right. So now I'm just going to kind of hold on to it with my little pin. And you can watch the magic start to happen. Woo. I'm missing one little spot that I can see. All right, I think we have it. Look at those slippers. I was thinking the same thing, Darren. All right, thank you. Darren's always watching out for me. He knows that I lose that pin to my glue all the time. So I just used a little bit of yellow for the background. So these are the dies. So you've got the one that cuts out the top part, and then you've got the background, and then you've got dies that cut out the bows. And what I did is I cut the bows out of glitter stock because I liked the fact that it was just ever so slightly a little bit lighter, because I wanted the bows to stick out more, to show. So if you could even do the whole slippers in it, but I wanted to play with the glitter, and I like the way it looks. But this is the glitter stock paper, which also comes in Yellow Brick Road and Emerald City. So definitely, I mean, if you don't use it for an Oz project, you'll use it for something, because this is just, it is amazing quality glitter stock. I love it. It doesn't flake off and it adds so much to your project. All right, so let's glue these guys to the backer. Again, I'm using, I left my pin out too long. I'm using my Barely Art glue, which I plugged up a little bit, it looks like. There it goes. And I'm just going to put a couple little drops on that little skinny line. All right. All right, so we have our ruby slippers. We just need to add our little bows. And I think that we'll just use a little bit of foam for those, just so they stand up a little bit. So I'm cutting down, I'm kind of obnoxious this way, but I am cutting these little teeny tiny foam squares because I just need a tiny little piece. So hopefully we can get it to work. All right. And then we've got one more for this one. And I love the way it gives it a little more dimension. All right, hang on.
Hold up the camera when you're done.
What was that?
You got to hold up the camera when you're done.
Okay.
Hard to see the dimension.
I'm just trying to get these little tiny pieces off. There we go. So you can see that that gives it a little more dimension. All right. So the next thing we want to do, let's go ahead and, well, we'll wait just a minute on that. We'll do that last. Let me move that out of the way. And these were the little dies for the bows. And these are about dry. So we can kind of think about how we want to put those on. I think let's go ahead and get those on.
Mackie loves the slippers.
Aren't they fun, Mackie?
See Christina's comment
I did.
about the Christian ending?
Oh, you should send an email to customer service at Brutus Monroe. I would love to help you with that, but I would not know where to go with that. But I know that you're probably just fine on that. And we would love to see you. That would be fun. What was that, Darren?
Candy says hi.
Hi, Candy. How are you? Thank you, Heather. Orders at Brutus Monroe. Heather just happens to be here. So that was very fortunate because Heather is the woman that takes care of that kind of stuff. And she is excellent at it. So I'm glad that you're on, Heather. Okay, so now we're just going to add Glenda's little crown to this circle. Just to kind of how we want to arrange it. I think like that. I think that works. But I think we are going to need a foam square on the shoe. Just so it all lays down. Okay. All right. So we're going to end up putting this right here. So I think we'll probably put that right there. Okay. So let's go ahead and put some glue on our little flap. think we can go ahead and stick this on too. I love this saying. This is from the conversation clippings, and it says, "You always had the power." And I just love that. I think we forget that sometimes in real life. Okay, so we're almost done with the outside, but we have another thing we're going to add. So we have poppy dies with this release, and they look like this. And you get all of these amazing leaves, and then you've got these 3 different sizes of the poppies. We're going to use some of those, and I did some of them, I colored a few of them ahead of time, but we're just going to quickly color a couple more. And we're going to use, oh, guess what I lost? My pin. There it is. Let me put my pin away for a minute. Okay, so we're going to use Simon Hurley inks. We're going to use Sidewalk Chalk and Bee Sting. And again, I'm just using those little blender brushes. I love these things. And we're going to use Sidewalk Chalk on the top layer. He did 4 make and takes using these and the limited edition Oz aqua pigments. I saw those. It was really pretty, Heather. We used the aqua pigment earlier on Glinda's crown and wand, but we just used the Glinda color. We haven't used any of the other beautiful colors. Oh, you know what? Oh yeah, I did mean to do that. Sorry. Forgot what I was doing for a minute. Okay, so we were just kind of laying down that first layer of ink here. And that's probably all we need from the Sidewalk Chalk. So now we're going to use the Bee Sting. We're just going to kind of get the ends of the petals for the top layer. And I liked using the ink for these because we want the focal point to still stay the middle. And so I wanted the poppies to be pretty, but I didn't want them to steal the show from the center. So I kept them kind of simple, and the colors are not as vibrant as I would typically do. If you've watched me at all, you know I love vibrant colors. So we just stuck with the kind of lighter versions of these colors. I think I'm ending up with glitter on my stamp pad. I'll have to clean that off after. Okay, so now these two will go together. And then we need the bottom layer for this one, and we will be able to move on. They're great for splatter. I use a spray nozzle on my aqua pigments. Hydrangeas, huh, Tina? That's awesome. I can see that. That's perfect. You have to put a picture on the Brutus Monroe fan page. All right, I think we're going to call that good. Yeah, glitter is just one of those crafty things that we just end up with all over the place. If you don't have it all over the place, you're not doing something right, in my opinion. All right, let's kind of wipe this off so we don't end up laying the card in it. I say we, but you know, you guys probably wouldn't do that. But I do it all the time, so. Okay. I think we have that. All right, so now we are going to take a bone folder we're just going to kind of curve up petals. You don't want to pull too hard. A little bit of kind of like when you curl ribbon, but you don't want to pull your okay. You know, Michelle, I have one. They're inexpensive. They're like, I think $12. Is it $12 for 4, Heather? So I have them for all of my Simon Hurley inks, but you could do color families. You could do one for your reds or whatever. But I have other brushes that I don't really clean them. I just keep them in color families, to be completely honest with you. Okay. So now I'm going to offset these just a little bit. Not completely, like I want them to still be basically in the same area, but we want to see, but I don't want to offset them too much, because really when you think about poppies, they don't have a ton of petals. So I think like that is what I'm going to do.
Heather said she doesn't either. She's a messy crafter. Shannon doesn't clean either.
Yeah, well, and honestly, sometimes I actually like using the brushes. When I just want a little bit of color on something, I'll just use what's left in my brush, because I always have a little color in there, and sometimes it's perfect for what I'm doing. So it works out good for me. Yeah, you could wipe them on a towel. You could use Squeaky Clean. But honestly, again, if you just have one for all your different color families, you probably are okay. I would not mix different types of ink, however. I would say, like I don't have the same brushes for my distress ink pads that I do for my Simon Hurley, because they're 2 different types of ink, and you don't want your pigment inks mixed up with your water-based inks or dye-based inks, however, whatever kind of inks. Okay. So we've got a couple that we can start kind of seeing what we're going to do with them. Let's get a couple more in there. And play with your flowers. Don't be afraid to bend the paper. I mean, it's just paper. And if you dampen it just a little bit, be extra gentle when you're curling it or whatever, but you'll be surprised how much you can manipulate the paper. And it's okay if your paper has a crease in it. It's really okay. I have a big crease right there. I do want it a little curvier though. There we go. And when you think about nature, I mean, everything isn't perfectly shaped. Not usually anyway. And that's part of the beauty of it. Just like cooking, the things that we're so worried about being flaws sometimes are what make it charming. Well, hello there. We are creating with the Oz release. We are making an easel card. We're just making some flowers for it right now. And your name didn't show up, or I would have called you out by name. Okay, so let's do the front. Let's start working on the front. So I think we'll go ahead and, do we want to glue them or do we want to? Yeah, I think glue, because I think they already have enough dimension because I put the glue dot in between.
I'll put up a list of supply list for good with this.
Darren will put up a supply list for people who are just showing up now. Oh, Jerry, I'm notice. How are you, Jerry? All right, so let's add some leaves in here. And now this die set has some little centers for the flowers, but I wanted to do something a little different. So I am going to use something different than the dies, but you do you and do whatever feels good to you.
Brandon says hi.
Hi, Brandon. How are you? Glad you're on here. Oh, I'm excited, Jerry and Jackie. That will be so much fun. I can hardly wait. How many spots are left, Heather? Do you know? Oh, thank you, Michelle. Oh, I'm so glad. I am doing just great, Brandon. Thank you. All right, we almost have the outside done. We need just another.
Less than 5 is left the office.
Ooh, less than 5. All right, you guys, you're going to want to work on that quick if you want to get in on the create your own ending event. And you do. I'm telling you what, it's going to be so much fun. And we would definitely love for you to join us. All right, so I just had these in my stash, but I liked they were big just because when I think of poppies, I think of a big center. So I think that these work out good. And frankly, I'm always happy when I can move something in my stash that's been there for a while. So that's what I'm doing. I don't even know where I got them. They've been in my stash a long time. But think about different things you can use for the centers. I love to find different things. I think buttons are really cute. You can use, you can even just cut out circles and just layer them on top of each other and then put a little bit of some type of glaze or something on top to make them stick out more and be shiny. Okay, so here's the outside of our card, but we still have the inside to do. So what we're going to do is I'm going to take it. I'm off center. Okay, we're going to take, could add gold glitter glaze to those too. Absolutely. You could definitely do that. Okay, so I'm going to add this little strip of ruby slipper glitter stock so that we can, when we open our card, it'll hold the card open. Oh, I'm so glad. I'm so glad, Mackie. Yeah, it's a fun one. Okay, so that honestly would hold it just fine, just like that. But I was thinking that maybe we would add another flower over here. Let me see if it looks like too much when we do it. I was prepared either way. Sorry, I did that off camera. I just realized. Just again, curling up our. Oh, and I should tell you, I think I used, you can see that there's a little bit of texture to these. I actually used aqua pigment paper for my flowers because I like the way that they shape. And I was actually kind of toying with the idea of using the aqua pigments, but ended up not. So that is what I used for my flowers. and it ended up working out good. Okay, so let's see how we feel. I kind of like it. I think let's go ahead and add it. Now, your card is not going to lay flat, and I know that already, and you probably know that already, but that's okay. It's still going to be cool. That's a sacrifice I'm willing to make for the fun of how it looks when it's open. Now, because this is glitter stock, I'm going to put a piece of foam square on there instead of the glue, because I think the foam sticks a little easier to the glitter stock. But, you know, if you have a favorite adhesive to use with it, go for it. And you could even glue it just past that so that it's not right on the glitter stock. And I know I have a couple of leaves left. There they are. I think we need just one leaf to go in there. So we'll stick our leaf in there. And then we'll add our last little, whatever this is. Okay, so now we have our easel card. It was not hard at all, and it's fun. It's a fun little surprise to open it up, and it's fun to be able to display it. Kate, I totally understand how that goes. I totally understand how that goes, and you will be missed, but you know, hopefully we can catch you maybe next year if you're feeling better then. And we appreciate you, and like I said, I hope that you can come next year. Oh, thank you so much. Thanks, Nikki. Thank you, everyone. So this is all I have for you tonight. I hope that maybe you, if you haven't tried an easel card, I hope maybe this kind of took the mystery out. And like I said, I used a round shape. You could try all kinds of shapes. There's the oval that comes with it. You could try doing a square. You could try doing, you know, the sky's the limit. You could do what you want. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining me. I had so much fun creating this with you, and I hope that you all have a very nice weekend. And I will see you next week with a new project. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.